actually, it'll count down a little bit. We're never sure when that actually starts.
I used to do workout live videos. It was annoying.
All right, welcome to episode 4 of the Retro Bar podcast. And we have a special guest today, Roberta McFarland, who talked about being on before and finally worked out, so she's here. We're a minute or two late. She came right from the Adhd rec. So we'll get right into it. Paul's a little sluggish this morning.
A little slow. That's all right. We're getting there.
It's St. Patrick's Day didn't end all that long ago.
Yeah. All right.
I was home in bed at a respectable time, so.
He is the better of the two.
Only because my wife hauled me out. But anyway, so we have Roberta here, and we're going to let her sort of give a little bit of her background as to where you grew up, where you went to school, what you did up until now. Right now, actually, she's how I met Roberta. Actually, both of us, I think. She works part-time at Old Republic Distillery right up the road here. Most time is the chief bartender for my trivia nights there, and that's how we met, basically, not all that long ago. And other than that, I'll let her give a little bit of background.
Yeah, shout out to like ORD and these guys. They kick butt.
Yeah.
Man, it gets busy in there, and you guys just take care of business, man.
Paul
fantastic.
Paul is the number one customer.
Well, last night I was not the number one customer.
All his cocktails. So, we love Paul and Kelly. So like Kelly said, my name's Roberta McFarland. I actually was born in Ephrata Hospital, but I went to Cocalico High School because I lived on the other side of the road, which if I lived on the right side, I would be going into Ephrata, but I lived on the left side, so I went to Cocalico High School. After high school, I went to college for hotel, restaurant, hospitality management. So through there, I went to East Stroudsburg University. After college, I worked in multiple different hotels, event planning, wedding planning, and then my husband and I decided to have children. So I have 4 kids. When I had the kids, I did a lot of working out do workout videos. That's how I started, and then from there I started classes. So I teach at the Adhd rec. I teach at Heart and Soul, and that's a huge passion of mine, the working out. And then I love working at ORD. I get to meet a lot of new people. It's just fun getting to experience different people every day. I meet new people, so that's why I love the industry I'm in.
You're very good at what you do. Like you are very fit, and you have so much energy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it is fun to watch.
Yeah, you do.
It is fun to watch you work because you are so focused on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And as much as I haven't worked out with you as you want me to work out with you, I'm sure you're just as focused when you're working out. Like a regiment of this is the goal. And this is how we're going to get there, and let's do it. And that's fantastic.
Everything's at 100%. If I'm working, it's 100%. Working out, 100%. Being a parent, 100%. All in. So
you can see that too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So prior to having kids, or prior to working at ORD and the workout, did you work anywhere else in your life as far as?
Yeah, so actually Hickory Run Campground.
Oh, really?
I worked all through high school there, in college, and that's what got me wanting to be in the hospitality management, because I worked the front desk there and I got to experience people all the time. So I was like, this is great, but it's kind of expensive to own your own campground. So I went into the hotel business. I worked at Hamptons, Hilton Garden Inns, Marriott. I worked at the Marriott for like 7 years, and then once I had kids, it just got too much with weekends and being called and everything like that. So
that's interesting. You're at Hickory Run. We've camped there quite often, and we do like that.
Great.
That campground is
great.
Yeah,
such a nice.
Yeah,
place.
I know where it is. I think I camped there once when I was a little kid. And that was it.
Yeah.
We're probably there once a year at least.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a nice campground, and you're right. It's good people that are there, and they're always there to help you. So that's very interesting that you had worked there. That totally makes sense. Yeah. That's good.
So when you started, you said your first thing you did in the fitness was make videos.
So I actually, when I had kids, my kids are back to back to back. Like I have a 10, 9, 8, and a 5-year-old. So it was like boom, boom, boom. And I was always wanting to go to the gym, but first of all, finance, I couldn't really just hire someone to watch the kids. So I started doing at-home workout videos. Like I actually bought DVDs. I have like probably over 100.
Okay.
And I just kind of fell in love with the fact where workout videos in the 80s, you know, going to classes used to be, I don't want to say easy, but just different style. I like the intensity. So I took what I learned from workout videos and I brought it to my own when I taught classes. A lot of high intensity interval training workouts with weights. So everything kind of like that. That's how I got started, just by watching videos and doing it at home.
And then these videos, when you started that, did you put them on the internet, or like how did people?
So I actually was doing DVDs, like but then during COVID, I was doing live videos through the F&RX, so people could go on and do the videos.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, technology, it's either great or it's not, and like if it's not working,
like I'm not sure if anybody's even hearing us out there. If you're out there watching and you're hearing okay or not hearing, put a comment up so we know you can hear us.
Yeah, or any questions.
Don't feel post a comment, post a question. We'll see if we can answer.
There is a lot of years of you being a workourt guy, and you being like, this is not my world at all. You know, this is totally, you guys are, you just.
We're going to get you there, Paul.
There's a gym right on the other side of that wall. Not as great as my old one, but it's right over there.
Next week, stay tuned.
Right. We'll be broadcasting live from the gym. Okay, we got a comment. At least we know people are out there. Thanks,
Hey, Sammy.
So when you made these DVDs, then you sold them? Like
no, I just went on from the rec. People were able to go on and.
Oh, okay.
And
so this wasn't
watch,
like a little business you started.
No. Yeah, okay. It worked out fine. But the main reason I decided to do this podcast with you guys. First of all, I love these two. They're like my friends. You know, I love them so much. They're great. But you know, Kelly and Paul and I, we talk often. You know, they come. Kelly does trivia, like he said, and Paul is the #1 guest at Old Republic Distillery. So I got to know the guys real well. And, you know, when you become friends with people, you share personal information in a regards, you know. But with me having my 4 kids, I have a daughter with special needs, and Kelly and Paul and I were talking about it, and I really would love to share, just as a parent and as a person that had to go through the process of learning to almost grieve that your child isn't going to experience the life that you had in mind for them, but how taking that and making myself the best parent that I can be for my daughter. Molly's 8. She's in the autistic support classroom at Clay Elementary, which I cannot say they're amazing. They're amazing. I started to realize something was different with Molly. I would say, pretty early on, like at 3 months, she just always seemed very, very unsettled. Like I had to hold her a lot, like give her like lots of, you know, deep pressure hugs, not to get personal, when she wanted to nurse all the time, just to kind of have that comfort. And then, so I had her going through 0 to 3, it's called the early intervention. So that's where children from birth to age 3, someone comes in, they evaluate your child, and they said, okay, we're going to give you these services. Like, so Molly at age, 7 months was getting like an OT to come in to help her, because she wasn't walking, she didn't talk, she didn't even crawl, she didn't hold her own body up, like since she was about, I would say, a year where she had balance. Like she couldn't even like sit to hold herself up. She didn't walk until about 2.5. So there was just these milestones, and I saw them, so I got help right away. But some parents don't know about it.
What is it? You said OT. What is what is that? I don't know.
Occupation therapist. So,
okay.
Yeah, so that helped her with her sensory needs. Molly's diagnosed with 2nd degree autism, so she doesn't have, that wasn't her first diagnosis. It was another processing disorder. They call it like an impairment, where her brain is like missing certain signals for her to be able to have conversations. She can have conversations, but it's very like mom, dad, Molly go out. Like, so it's very broken up because it's hard for her to process how to say certain things.
Okay. And that was one of the services that they provided, was
Yes.
the OT that...
Yeah, so when she, like from birth to 3, you can get services, it's called early intervention. Once she hit 3, it goes through the IU 13, and that's from 3 to 5. So that's before you hit kindergarten. They'll come and then they reevaluate her, and then she gets the services through the IU. So she actually was in a special S. June Smith. It's downtown Ephrata, and it's for children that have special needs. I mean, there's children with Down syndrome in those classes. There are children that are in wheelchairs that they can't really feed themselves. So these classes from age 3 to 5, it's amazing because they go there Monday through Friday, and it's like 3 hours, and they really teach these children certain things, and honestly, it helps the parents because it's hard for the parents. I mean,
well, right, you're
absolutely.
yeah, I mean that's a hard thing.
Yeah.
Now, when they work with them, is it like a one-on-one kind of instruction, or, I mean, because each kid would probably be at either a different level or have different needs.
Absolutely.
So I mean, in my mind, it would be hard to teach a group
Yeah. So
same.
Yeah. So what they have is there's always now Molly's class at Clay. This is what I'm saying. Clay is wonderful. Ephrata is doing a great job with these children. There is one teacher, 6 aides. So pretty much, and there's 8 kids in Molly's class. So almost each student has one-on-one with an aide. So if Molly needs to go on a field trip with her standard class, so which happens is they mainstream these children, which is amazing. So other kids can learn that not all kids are the same.
Right.
There's kids that are like Molly, who has a hard time talking, but she's happy and loves life. And there's kids with other autism where they won't even look at you and they don't feel comfortable, but that doesn't mean they don't want to be involved. They just have a hard time knowing how to be involved.
Right.
So with that, when Molly goes to standard classroom, about 30 minutes a day, she interacts with the kids, and she'll do field trips with the standard 2nd grade, and the field trip aides will come along to help. So that's what I'm saying. Like, she gets to participate along with getting that extra needed help.
And Ephrata, you're right, just as amazing in what they can do with the kids. And as far as the cops go, and me being a resource officer, they would have me go into some of these classrooms where the kids have special needs, just to say, hey, this is the cops, this is what you could see out on the street, and they're friendly, and they're not this big scary guy, and so they would have me interact with some of these groups. Just so they can get to know me, just to sit there to have a conversation with them as much as they could, and the staff, and all the way through the school district, whether it be elementary, all the way up through. And what was amazing for me to see was how well they integrate the kids. Like, the child needs a lot of help in math and English, but maybe they don't in science, so they could go to a regular class. And interact with other kids their age, and so that they're not like when we went to school. They were segregated, like
right. And you didn't even have that. Like at Calico when I went, there was, I mean, they always called it special ed or whatever, but there were some kids in that room, but out of the population as a whole, there wasn't many. Like, so was it that it's more prevalent in today's world, or they just it's found out more in people than it used to be? Like,
I agree.
Maybe
I think it's both, though. I think it's diagnosed quicker, better, and there is just more people. I mean,
there is a larger population.
You look at how
in the
the schools have had to add, because there's just more people here in Calico than there was in the past.
But it's kind of sad. Kelly and I discussed this a couple weeks ago. When I was in school, you were not educated about different children. So, for example, there was someone in my class. I just thought that he was just super, super hyper and just talked super fast and, you know, and was just a little different. And that was ignorant on my part. We have to educate our kids, our teachers, our community to know that each child's different, each human being's different.
Right, yeah.
You know?
We each have our own,
Yeah.
we each have our own
Yeah.
unique things about
Yeah.
us, and some more noticeable than others.
Yeah.
And
It was kind of neat to see when some of the special needs kids went into a different classroom, the protection that they got from the other kids.
Yeah.
Like, no, nobody's going to pick on this kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and like you said, back in the old days, they pretty much segregated them,
Mhm.
and so that gave the stigma that they were different,
Yeah.
and not that they said stay away from these kids, but I mean it sort of gave you that impression because they stuck them in their own little room and they hung as one little group and
No interaction.
Not really,
Yeah.
and if it was, I hate to say it, but you almost felt like when they came out of the room, it was like they were like you were at a circus.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, and I don't mean that
I know what you
demeaning, but
mean.
back in the day, that's sort of
Yes.
what the mentality that everybody had, and it obviously was not fair.
Yeah.
And like you said, some of these kids they have difficulty doing one thing, but they might not. They might be better than all of us at something else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
like with your daughter, now you said, you know, like speaking wise, she isn't able to like
Have a
give big,
conversation.
right? But
She's the most honestly
that-
loving child. Like if she was here now, she would be sitting on one of your lap.
Yeah,
She
well-
she doesn't see any evil in this world. And
And
that's a little scary sometimes
well, it is,
too.
but that's sort of and I haven't had a lot of interaction with special needs people, but I did help out 2 different times at Special Olympics with the powerlifting part.
Yeah.
And the one thing that amazed me is how, like, you go to a regular powerlifting meet and everybody's worried about themselves, and you know people might help each other out if they need something. But these people that were there, they were all in for everybody.
Yeah.
Like they didn't care if they won, if they lost, if they lifted their weight, if they didn't. They were cheering for the next guy, and they were the happiest people. And when they succeeded in something, they got like excited. Not when I lifted, if I got a certain weight, all right, I was happy for 2 seconds, and then I'm worried about, okay, I did that. Now let's try and get this. And I never really enjoyed it.
You were never satisfied.
I was never satisfied.
Yeah.
As soon as I reached a goal, I didn't spend 3 minutes celebrating. I was thinking of what's my next goal.
Yeah.
Where those people whatever they did, they were jumping for joy, and it was neat. It was the neatest thing to see.
It's almost like they see Christmas every day through their eyes. And honestly, I actually, not to go off another topic, but I actually got rebaptized in a lot of ways because I just felt like Molly is a gift to me in so many ways. So many people are missing what's important in this world, and I know through her eyes that this little girl, and all my children, but Molly is special in a different kind of way, that she really makes me a better person and a better parent, and I'm thankful for that.
Well,
So,
yeah.
you know.
Now, do you think, even though she can't project words, and I equate this to people who've had a stroke, that say, like I worked with a guy that had a stroke, and he could speak. I mean, he really had very little side effects, fortunately, but his speech was slowed down, and he said he knows in his head exactly what he wants to say, he just can't spit it out. Like, and do you think that is...
Absolutely,
like-
absolutely. Okay, I'll give you an example. So, Molly knows we go to the Effort Rec, and then we have babysitting there. So when I teach classes at night, she knows she gets off the bus and we go to the rec. But sometimes we go to Grandma's house. So sometimes she gets, in her mind, she'll say rec. But I know for a fact she was hoping to go to Grandma's house because I get to the rec and she says, no, Mom, no, no. And she loves the rec, but in her mind she was thinking something else.
Yeah.
But it came out as something totally different. So we're actually doing pictures with Molly.
Okay.
We're going to put pictures out and with her at the rec, her at her grandparents' house, at the school. So it helps with the processing of her brain.
Yeah.
And that's exactly like the stroke. It's sad because they live in their own, like their body, and they know what they want to say, but it's not coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know her better than anything. So like she says things, I'm kind of like her, you know, I'll like talk for her and say she wants this or that.
Yeah.
But you know, that for her, the where she's getting, she's not frustrated yet, but that's a frustration to children too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Well, especially if, I mean, especially if they know what they want to say and they can't do it. Like I think in a way, and not that you would wish it on anybody, but it might even be easier if they weren't thinking as fast as they are, but unable to communicate. Like if their thought was as slow as their ability to communicate, they wouldn't probably get as frustrated.
Yeah.
But knowing it's in there. Now, do you think, or maybe how old is she? 8?
She's 8, yeah.
Like as she gets older, and I realize, you know, she's not going to get healed at this point, but if she was okay, she has trouble speaking words, would she be able to at some point type better than speak, or you don't think that's
with her sensory, her whole body, like she has a hard time like holding pens and stuff like she has sometimes like you'll see her rock and her legs will shake, so I feel like that maybe longer down the line, but I feel like she's improved so much in the past year or two. I think each year she's going to have you know milestones, and just as a parent and any other parent out there that might have a child that you might think there's something not right, the earlier you can get your child evaluated, there's nothing wrong with your child being different. It's wrong for you to not accept it and to just say, okay, that's just how Sally is. Well, Sally could be that way, but if you are delaying her getting services, it's not fair to the child just because maybe deep down you don't want to accept it. Like, again, my husband and I, we cried, we hugged each other, and we mourned for Molly, and then we're like, okay, this is enough. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, and what can we do to best suit Molly? And that's what parents need to do.
Right, because it's not doing her any good for you walking around moping about it.
Absolutely.
You know, that's not helping anybody.
No.
So you might as well just dig in and you know,
this is life.
It is what it is, and as hard as it is to maybe deal with, like you said, there's good things about her that maybe your other kids don't have. I mean, like you said, she loves life. Yeah. And it seems like a lot of them, people with special needs, seem to love life more than we do.
Yeah.
They don't dread stuff. Like
no,
they don't.
And they don't get as bored. Maybe they find greater thrills out of mundane things than we do, where we're always thinking and trying, well, let's do this, let's have this fun. And you know, now does she have and again, this is just me, but like does she have an area, and she's a little young at this point probably, but like I'm going to say an area that she is more normal, like or even better, like and I hate to do this, but I think a Rain Man.
Yeah. And we talked about that before.
Like he had his little niche. And maybe it's a little early in her life to know what that niche is.
Yeah. So, but she's a little bit different than if you have like some kids that just have autism, like they get fixated. Like my husband's a school teacher, and he had a child where globes. Paul had to take all the globes out of his room because he would see a globe and then just like fixate on it and just like globe, and like starts, you know, just going on about it. But with Molly, she does love music, so she gets obsessed with Old MacDonald. She wants me to play it every single day, but she wants it on my phone. So it's not that I don't think she loves that song. It's just she can communicate to me, Mommy, Old MacDonald, and she knows that I'll give her my phone, you know, like all parents, and then you get like 5 phones later.
She's already figured out she just wants the phone.
She just wants the phone, and then she'll play videos, and she'll go through it, and then sometimes she'll call people, and they're like, "Did you mean to call me?" I'm like, "No, Molly's just, you know, pocket dial." But in her mind, like she knows what to say for me to give her my phone, and so she's obsessed with like music videos where she'll see a video, then press it, because she just likes to keep on hearing it, and then, okay, I don't want that, and that. Like, she has ADHD too, so like that was diagnosed pretty early on. So what we do, we go for walks all the time, very active. Thankfully, she's my daughter, because I keep her active, you know. So
she's a lazy couch potato.
Yeah, I know. So
that would be, and I'm sure there are out there.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes, it falls into like my world a little bit, where I got to say the Ephrata Police Department was fantastic at training our officers on autism. What to expect when you go on a call, because when somebody has a meltdown, and if they have special needs, whether that be 8 years old or 40, you know, there is something that set them off, and how do you deal with that?
Yes.
So, because it's completely different than how you would deal with somebody else. Like, you have to understand they can't communicate like
you're right.
somebody else. So you have to understand that very quickly and take a step back, make sure they're safe, give them that space, and figure out how we can make it better. And that goes along with if somebody's missing. Like, okay, well, I was in the room for 2 seconds and I came back out and my autistic child is now missing. And they teach us, like, well, okay, generally autistic special needs kids like water. If there's a pond or a creek or a river nearby, you better send guys as quick as you can to that river, because they'll be in the water.
Scary.
Yeah, so they do teach us that. That was very helpful. How to get them the help as quick as they possibly can, because they don't understand the dangers of what they can get into.
I'm really glad that the police do that kind of training, because, for example, this morning, Molly wanted to get on the bus, and all of a sudden something set her off. I don't know what it was. She threw herself to the ground, screaming, and I don't know what it was, but I picked her up. But like you say, she's older, and you know, she has a meltdown at the grocery store. Some people might like think, why is she acting like that? So it's good to educate others. We're not bad parents, and the cops aren't doing that. They're just trying to figure out what does this person need.
And I would be called into a classroom where a child has hit that, or something set them off, and it's very, very simple for me in the cops in the school, because it was clear the classroom, let's get everybody out of here. The rest of the kids don't need to see this, number one, and we don't need anybody else hurt. We need they need to have their privacy. Clear the room, make sure that there is nothing in there that's going to hurt themselves, and we're going to wait. I got all day.
So just all the...
I got all day. I'm not going to rush in there and put this kid in handcuffs, and we're not going to wrestle. No, I'm just going to stand back and... Absolutely. I got all day long. This now is my priority. Everything else can wait, and if something else more important comes up, there will be another officer that will take care of it.
Sometimes that's all you need, because sometimes if you give in, they're like... To a child, you know, with Molly. Sometimes I have to put her on the bus just because the bus driver is like, I gotta go. You know what I mean? But there's sometimes, like, when I'm at the rec, you know, I park in the handicapped parking lot because she darted away from me multiple times. And she's 8 years old, and she weighs about, 65 pounds. So, you know, for me, I can get her. But that's another thing. Having grandparents watch Molly. Like, no one, and it's not their fault, but a lot of my mom, my mother-in-law, like, if Molly darts away from them, she's faster, and and that's scary,
and I hate to say it, and it's probably years down the road, but there may come a time when you can't.
Absolutely. And we're actually thinking maybe long-term service dog, maybe a service dog. Long-term would be something when she gets older and she needs someone to calm her, or say she darts away from me, that dog is trained to,
And we have so many different tracking devices now. Whether it be an elderly person, there's all sorts of tracking devices. I mean, they've been talking about the Apple. You can drop them, and people
again, it has its good
you have them things that are not so good with them, but they're on the other hand, if you had something like that, and your grandparents or her grandparents lost her they can very quickly get on their watch or their phone or whatever and think, where is she? Before something happens.
Because that's another thing. I mean, children like Molly, like, she trusts everybody. Like, we were talking a little bit about that. Like, they're very trustworthy, and you know, in this world, not everybody has a good heart. So,
right.
you know,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's sort of like that little girl I put on Facebook the other night.
cute.
That, like, for whatever reason, that girl, when they brought her in, I mean, they carried her in because she was probably a year old. I don't know how old she was. But like when she saw me, and I never saw her before, but she like was like reaching out and waving at me, and then I sort of started to interact with her, and it was like I found a brand new friend, and a friend that didn't judge me for anything.
Yeah,
you know, it was neat. It was neat, but then obviously she was, you know, didn't. I don't know if she had the ability to speak or not. She was very young, so I mean, even a kid with no disability probably wasn't speaking much at that age, but. So I mean, but every time like I say, very limited, but anytime I've been around anyone special needs like that, it always was very enlightening. It sort of gave me a kick in the butt, saying, "Hey, if they can be that happy, I ought to be a lot happier."
Yeah,
you know.
Your bad day, and there's just in general, like everyone, there's people that are struggling more than us, and that's why I try to stay upbeat too, because I always think life is a gift. The alternative is not fun, so just be thankful for
special needs, or you have somebody going through an illness, or like when my first wife got cancer, there was a lot of things that during the course of her treatment we either didn't do, or she didn't want to do, or we were running back and forth to Philly, and to put it bluntly, it sucked.
Yeah.
But there was no alternative. And you just, you know, I never in my life pictured that I would be able to sort of suck it up and do whatever I did there. But when you're faced with it, you just do what you do. And then, you know, would I want to do it again? No.
Yeah.
But during the time that you're faced with whatever it is, you know, you got, like you said, you got two choices. You either do your best or you walk away. And who does that?
Yeah.
You know, well, there are people that do.
Yeah.
But
you have to be the best person for your wife.
Well, right.
I mean, if you act a certain way, I mean, what she's dealing with, obviously.
And in a heartbeat, the shoe could be on the other foot.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, at any given time, a parent with a perfectly healthy, normal kid is one head injury away from dealing with maybe worse than what you're doing. And you know, so you're not, nobody's far away from it.
And going into Molly's classrooms, I see that a lot too, where I thought, okay, I have it tough with Molly because she doesn't want to stay still, constantly wants to go. The frustration of her not wanting to stay home and want to be outside when it's raining, and her not understanding we can't go for a walk because it's raining. But then, like, you go to these classrooms, and one of the parents I was talking to, all three of their children have autism.
Well,
and then you look at yourself, you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm thankful for what I have. And, you know, and it's just, I honestly think, you know, you're only given what you can handle. And,
really. And you have no idea what you can handle till you have to handle it.
Yeah.
You know, and you can handle a lot more than you ever thought you could.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
You have done a fantastic job at like keeping things together and giving her everything she possibly could. Do you have any advice or suggestions to parents who don't have it together as much as you do? Like,
it's hard because no one's perfect. First of all, I'm not perfect. I have days where honestly, like, I just want to like get in the car and like call someone and say, hey, can you be in it for a little bit? But the best thing I can say is it gets better, and there's great days and there's tough days, but that's how life is. And just try to get support, if it's good friends, if it's family, and just be honest with your family. Like, say, listen, my child was tough today. Do you mind just coming over so I can go get a coffee? Honestly, that's why I like working at the distillery, because that's my time to get away. Because when I work at the rec, I take the kids, and I always feel like, and I love it, and I love my family. But you're not perfect, and we all need breaks. Take breaks. Ask for help when you need it.
I mean, you know, even like we had, well, my stepson and my son, and you know, they were in pretty different ages, so there was a lot of time where it was just my son as a youngster, and he had no real issues. But yet, you know, you just sort of sometimes just want to be by yourself, and that's actually that's what I used my workout for a lot of times. I built a room at our old house behind the garage, and it was I was right there at our property, but I was in my own little world. You know, and it was just sort of a place to go get away, and at the same time while I was there, it was, I guess, benefiting me health wise. You know, instead of.
But you almost have to remember too, because as parents, I mean, you both will know, sometimes when you do those things like working out, and I'm going to go for a long run, Paul. I'll be back in 2 hours. You almost sometimes am I being selfish? But no, you're not being selfish because it's therapy. Some people go to therapists. Some people use workouts. Like that working out, my therapy. Some people need medication. Whatever it is, don't feel guilty for asking for help because we all need help.
Absolutely, you know, that's one of the reasons I like ORD and going there. And you say, well, you're going to a bar to decompress, and my kids are grown, but you still have pressures and you still have all this. I don't drink alcohol every time I go to ORD.
You drink green tea.
I will drink green tea. I will drink water.
You made up for it yesterday.
But it's a great place with great people that work there. That sometimes for me, that's my outlet. Is I'll go there just to have a conversation with people like you because you're fantastic, and that interaction, like, hey, how you doing? What's going on?
Well, it's a place to go. Like you said, if I go, I'll have a couple drinks. But my main reason for going isn't to have drinks.
No.
I mean, I will while I'm there, but I could just as easily sit here and have drinks. That would be cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
But it would be cheaper, but I wouldn't have people to hang out with. And that's the main reason I go to these places and why I got into trivia. Because it's great.
The people.
You meet so many people, and so many people have their own little issues in life, and but at the end of the day, we're all the same.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't, we
wouldn't know anybody up there right now.
Oh, hey guys.
We got Amanda and Kim and Greg, and I would not have known any of them guys, and it's fantastic.
But before, I mean, and there again, when we had our kid, when he was younger, I didn't go out much. If we did, we went out to eat, took him along, and went back home. So I had very little interaction with hundreds of people a week like I do now, but it's great. And I try and make people, make them happy, and they make me happy. And
we're like I always say, being a bartender or trivia, you're almost a little bit of a therapist because you're sitting there, you're listening to people, and I actually love that. I love listening to people because it's true. Like everyone's different. I meet different people all the time, and and the stories they have, it's remarkable.
It's if I didn't want to talk to anybody, I wouldn't sit at the bar.
I'd
sit at a table all by myself and be on my phone.
But that's what I do like about being at the bar, because you're
up front.
Odds are there's going to be somebody you never met comes in and sits at that same bar. They're not going to end up sitting at the table with you, but they'll be at the bar with you, and when you leave, you'll know you'll have a new friend.
Absolutely. I couldn't tell you how many times I met people at different places, sitting in a bar and just talking to them, and like, hey, well, have you tried this place and this place? Like, well, we have not. Well, it's a cool place. The next thing I know, I go to the ORD, like, oh, hey, the two people you just sent here, they were just here a little bit ago. I don't even know these. But, it's just like, this is a cool place to be, and wherever it is.
Well, right. And it just is where people gather. So, it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the alcohol part. I mean, if as many people gathered at a juice bar, I would maybe hang out at a juice bar. But it just is the way it is. A bar that serves liquor seems to be more populated. There's more different walks of life and whatever. So it's I always said, like, my wife was a hairdresser before she retired from it. And you know how ladies get attached to their hairdressers. And like her big reason for a lot of the reason we moved here from that house was she didn't know any other way to tell her customers she's not going to cut hair anymore. So it was. I said, well, just tell them you're not. No, they're going to get pissed.
Now they know.
That's why I live here now, and that's why she don't cut hair. But I always felt different places. White Swan being one of the main ones, but now some of these. When a bartender left, to me, that was like losing my hairdresser.
Yeah.
Like it was a
right.
person I could go in and sort of confide in whatever. And then when they quit, moved on, either I followed them to their new bar or they disappeared, and I felt bad. I felt sad for myself, not for them.
Right.
I mean, they were seeking their fortune, running down their dream.
Yes.
Now, who am I going to talk to?
You're exactly right.
But but then somebody else steps in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always another bartender out there.
Because we're not looking for any hairdressers.
No.
I'm going to leave mine till it all falls out.
It's going quick. Yeah.
Well, anyway, that was a lot of information there. That and like I say, I am sort of ignorant to all that because I haven't dealt with it. But I will, like I said, the people I worked with at Special Olympics, they made me feel crappy that I thought I had bad days.
Oh yeah.
And they were the most joyous people. It's, so it makes you think, but they're, like you said, in some ways they are maybe luckier than we are because they
look at life differently.
Oh, they do. They
Completely
do.
different.
And we need to think about doing that ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, even when we have a bad day, sometimes it's ask someone for a hug or talk to somebody. I mean, or, and I'm just saying, like, it's okay to not be perfect. It's not. We're not perfect parents. I know. Even parents with, like you said, standard kids. We all need breaks. The best recommendation I could have for anybody is try to get breaks and get your child evaluated early if you just think there might be something. Because, like I said, from birth to 3 is called early intervention. They come to your house. From 3 to 5, it's IU13 comes out and evaluates your child, and then they can give you like a free. You don't have to pay for it. Like S. June Smith, Molly went there for preschool, and they had a special education teacher to help her with her needs, and so that was from 3 to 5, and then once she's school age, your child will also get reevaluated again. And I pushed for Molly recently to get reevaluated again because I feel like she has speech apraxia, and me and her teacher both agree with this. So that means she would need to get more speech at school. So be an advocate for your child, push for services.
And that makes sense because as your child grows, their needs change.
Absolutely.
Their body is changing.
Yeah.
So to reevaluate totally makes sense.
And you have to put, like I said, you have to be the advocate for the child because sometimes things get through the cracks because there's so many kids in the school and you're the parent, you have to ask for something. And if anyone out there have questions, please send me a message. I would love to reach out to anyone that needs help on here. We all, like I said, we struggle. If you want to talk fitness, you want to talk kids, you just wanted someone to talk to, send me a message. But
now when you brought up about speech with your daughter, just in that last little sentence.
Yes.
I actually, you're going to find this hard to believe out there in Facebook land. When I was in elementary school, I had to go to a special speech class to learn to say R's.
Because you're Dutchy.
Well, no, because I would only, I would, instead of saying bird, I'd say bud.
Yeah. Oh.
So I had to go in like 3rd grade, and what really sucked is it was during a recess.
Oh.
So and it was like once a week maybe or whatever, and it was me and 1 or 2 other kids had to go to the speech class.
And recess.
And so of all things.
Yeah.
So at one point in time, I went home and I told my mom or dad or whoever that, all right, I'm done, it's finished. I don't have to go there anymore, which wasn't really true. And they found out later, like they always do.
Yeah.
And I got in trouble for that. But so that's why I can speak so clear these days. I was a little bit of a special needs kid myself, and now I can say R's perfectly good, maybe too good. That's why I say Aaron and whatever. I focus on the R. That's. But Well, another fun fact: her husband, when I lived with my first wife over on Stony Run Road, right near Johnny's Steakhouse, the neighbors to us, her husband was like this little kid. And I really, I remembered the kid, but I didn't see him since then. And when I met Roberta, and then her last name being McFarland, which was this little kid's last name, I just took a shot and said, "Hey, what's your husband's name?" And it turned out she's married to my little next door neighbor kid.
We're all connected.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess that'll wrap it up for today. But I would like really to thank Roberta. And any of you people out there watching, you can see that me and Paul are well behaved at this thing. You're not risking life and limb coming on the show.
No.
You get to speak your part. We'll chime in what little bit we know. So don't be afraid. You can come here. You can promote a cause. You can talk about whatever. If you're a business owner and you want to promote your business or the fact that you might need help or what the person would do that works at your business, we don't care. The only thing we're probably not looking for is somebody to come on here and go into some political rant, because that ain't happening. No. But other than that,
we're just here to have fun.
We're just here
to have fun.
To kill some time before lunch.
Right. And we're just lucky enough that we had Heather Smith in here about mental health,
and we actually had some very useful topics. It was not. Maybe sometimes somebody's on here and it becomes just sort of a screw-off session, which is not a problem either. But our two guests that we've had so far had legitimate topics that needed to be talked about that hopefully are benefiting a lot more people than just me and Paul. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you for coming, because man, that's just, there's so much information out there.
Yeah.
And what kind of support is out there, and it just it really just
not
helps.
everybody knows that.
No, it really does. Yes.
All right, we will see you next Friday with hopefully a guest. If not, it's just me and Paul. But we'll try and find a guest for you. And until then, stay safe.
Bye, guys.
Yep. See ya.